Peace family, Vie Darling, the Cosmic Queen, and your intergalactic interpreter. I am here for a cosmic tea this week. I know it's a little bit later than I usually do it, but I was actually having a life today. Can you believe it? Really? That being said, I will not be online probably on Sunday or Friday. I might not be online Friday and I might not be online Sunday, but I will probably, if that's true, yeah, I'll get back online as soon as possible. But I just got stuff going on. I want to get into it real quick. Yeah, Spirit is guiding me to start using tropical astrology again. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pray. Okay, let's get into it. I realized that like my last cosmic tea may have been controversial. I realized that. I don't care, because it wasn't just speaking from the heart. I was speaking from spirit, and I'm not gonna mince words on behalf of spirit. That's not my job. My job is to be an oracle of the divine. So I am not going to, I have a practice of no longer participating in the silencing of the divine because other people might not find it palatable. I don't do that. I'm not going to do it, and I don't spread messages that I know are false. To the best of my awareness, I do my best to, not do those things. And funny, I was just talking about Mary. I was looking up there because I have a Mary up there, and look who's on the bottom of the deck. Start over. We're looking to find out what the overall energy for this week is. And there's cosmic interference coming in. That much is clear. It's interesting, I see, and I'm using tropical astrology here. I don't like that feeling though. Is this sidereal? No, this is tropical. I can't. I just feel weird about that. Okay, fine. So the North Node is at 1 degree of Taurus and 40 seconds in the 3rd house. And that feels really auspicious and it feels really powerful. Now we have Jupiter at 5th house, or excuse me, at 5 degrees and 29 seconds, which makes a nice and even 7. There's the North Node is 5. I feel like, I do feel like there are going to be challenges where it's not so much challenges as much as opportunities to transcend our ego, and we're being given the opportunities that we may have fumbled the bag. We may have fumbled the bag, and we're being given the opportunity to rectify that with the energy that's coming in this week. So what I would just really encourage is to really put your all, put your everything into making whatever it is that your dream is happen. And you're going, I feel like there are going to be relationships that you're going to cultivate this week that are going to change your life. I get soul family, call in your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. Transformation, things are changing at a cellular level, deep healing. You've been training for this for lifetimes. You're getting everything you ever wanted. Jackpot is what I'm hearing. You're already doing it, which came out in the reverse. Stop overthinking, keep facing your true north. So I feel like we're coming into this energy, and it's like you may have been thinking a lot about like what you want to do, and you've been learning a lot, and you've been practicing, and you've been getting the mindset right, but like it's a totally other thing when you actually do it, when you actually step into alignment. Like, you're ready. Don't doubt yourself. Just be yourself, be your best self for whatever that means to you. I do want to say that there are whales on this card, and it reminds me of the orcas that are attacking boats. And to me, and there are dolphins also. To me, this is about like defending our domain, protecting our domain. And it's not so much defending as much as it is going for it, you know, like in a way that is defense. Or it's like before, you may have allowed like outside forces to make you feel like you could not do things that you wanted to do, that you couldn't say things that you wanted to say, go places you wanted to go, be with people you wanted to be with. And this is saying that you need to just do it. Like, that's how you defend your dream, is by living it. You know, it's one thing if you talk about it and you don't ever actually do it, but if you actually just do it, I would recommend do it and don't, I mean, you can talk about it if you want. I'm not going to tell you not to talk about it, but at the bottom of the deck, keepers of the earth, you are not alone, ancient ancestors stand beside you. And under that, awakening, energetic upgrades, a new way of being, integration. What that is saying to me is that you are your ancestors' dreams come true. They want you to do this. They want you to step into your power, because guess what? You can actually manifest the things that they wanted but could not manifest, because each and every single one of us is living beyond the conceptions of what our ancestors ever dreamed. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't think that my grandparents ever thought that there was going to be an iPhone. Like, I really don't think so. You know what I mean? So, like, we're already living beyond what a lot of them could have dreamed of. And some of them maybe never would have dreamed if you are descended of, if you are an American descendant of slavery, or even in the Caribbean, or even in Europe. You know what I mean? If you are a descendant of people who were enslaved in the Atlantic slave trade, listen, you may have ancestors who never dreamed that they or their progeny would be free. So, you know something, they are supporting you and doing whatever it is you want to do. The good ones. The bad ones, you need to tell them to fuck out of here. You need to tell them to fuck out of here. Because those are the ones who are trying to control you. Excuse me. They're trying to control you. They don't want you to live a life of your own. I'm probably going to try to do this pretty quickly, because I don't want to be... I have other stuff that I have to do tonight, and I want to get to bed relatively soon. Stuff being like, I need to wash my dishes. And yeah, I just want to go to sleep like at a reasonable hour. I've been going to sleep at like really crazy times lately. But yeah, you know, we're coming into alignment with our soul family, and I think that like dreams come true. We have Neptune retrograde at 0 degrees and 0 seconds of the 12th house of Aquarius, and that is making a square to Jupiter at 5 degrees. Like, that's a big deal. 0 degrees and 0 seconds. That's a new beginning, and it's retrograding. Like, this is a new beginning. This is an opportunity to start fresh. To start fresh. And I want oh, excuse me. That's Pluto retrograde. I apologize. It's really triggering to me when I hear this. Like, my cards just like clap down on this table. It fucks with me and my sensory processing. And it's, yeah, Pluto retrograde. It's a new, well, what's Neptune do? Neptune is at 27 degrees. It's a 9, 34 seconds. That's a 7, and 7 equals 7. It's another 7 in the first house, and it is sitting there in Pisces with the moon, which is at 22 degrees. 22 is a master number. We have it at 16 degrees. That's a 7. Again, a 7. Interesting. That's 4. That's 11. So that's another master number. So the moon is really doing mastery of the emotions, Princess of Wands, of intuition, the Emperor in reverse, Princess of Wands in reverse, Prince of Swords in the direct position. We have that 7 degrees, again, 7, and then we have in 10 seconds, so that's 1, Saturn, and we have the Ascendant at 18 degrees, that's 9. That's in Pisces. So the way that I feel about, like, oh, and I want to just say that Venus is opposing retrograde Pluto, and it is squaring Jupiter 5 degrees, and Venus is at 5 degrees and 2 seconds of Leo, conjunct with Mars at 12 degrees and 22 seconds, and Lilith at 17 degrees and 11 seconds. So lots of mastery happening here in Leo, and lots of mastery happening here in Pisces, and this has to do especially with Mars and the moon and darkening Lilith. And I feel like there's a lot of new beginnings happening with Vertex at 0 degrees and 0 seconds of Libra in the 8th house, and obviously Pluto retrograde at 0 degrees and 0 seconds of Aquarius in the 12th house. And because it's retrograde, this is why I feel like it's like a chance to do things over without the burdens that were placed on you before. This is an opportunity to really rewrite your narrative with you in the position of power. Like, all the things that you wished that you had done last time, it's time for you to do it this time, if that makes sense. We're going to take one at a time. Okay. 10 of Wands in reverse, 6 of Cups. There's the Star, 6 of Swords in reverse, Wands in reverse, 5 of Cups in reverse, 8 of Wands in reverse. Bottom of the deck, we got Princess of Pentacles. So, because I didn't, okay, so this is the story that we're getting. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Princess of Pentacles. And underneath that, we have 2 of Swords and the Moon in reverse. You know, what you've been looking for has been looking for you, but you actually have had a runner chaser dynamic. So this is what I talk about with like twin flames and divine counterparts, divine union, all this stuff about it being a lifestyle, way of being. like have had that runner-chaser dynamic with other parts of your life, and because of that you haven't been able to manifest holistically the kind of life that you've been looking for. And for some of you, it just would have been this way regardless, up until, because like there were certain things that had to happen the way that they happened in order for you to like fulfill contracts or to fulfill your destiny, or things that you had arranged for in the ethers. But either way, you know, there were aspects that like were abused, like spirits and energies and entities abused the free will realm and tried to break you down so badly that you would be paralyzed, and not fulfill your duty, not fulfill your role. And I'm hearing master. People need leaders. People need to be led. And people who have enough humility will even tell you that. Like, I don't want to be the boss. I would rather be the employee because I don't want to be responsible. And I like being told what to do because then I know what to do. I don't want to have to think about what I have to do. A lot of people, like, if they actually had humility, they would just tell you that, you know, but they live it. And you see it. If you're somebody who doesn't understand like why some people, like, oh, you might think that they are being basic or normal. Hello. You might think that they're being basic or normal, or they're sheeple or something like this. And I don't think that's fair to call people. Not everybody has a super high level of consciousness. And the sooner that we realize like what a blessing and a gift it is to, and yes, in some ways it can feel like a curse, and both things are true at the same time. In their time, they can, like, I know that I've been through things like where my life path and my gifts and stuff have felt like a curse, but ultimately I know that it's a gift and it's a blessing. But it does come with being the black sheep, with not feeling like understood. I'm getting the Fool, 7 of Swords, 2. What is 2 again? I can't remember. The Fool, 7 of Swords, and Queen of Clubs. But yeah, I have had those experiences of being like alienated and like not understood. It is the High Priestess. That's what I thought that it was. And the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. I don't know why I drew these out. These are just supposed to be clarifiers. And so that sucks. But ultimately, I would not change my life for anything. And I would not trade my gifts and who I am for absolutely anything. And I understand the responsibility that comes with being a leader. And not a lot of people, I mean, we see that a lot of people don't take accountability. We see that a lot of people don't want to be responsible for things. We see that all around us. And so, you know, it's important to understand not everybody was made to be a leader. Not everybody was made to be, I'm hearing a god. But we have 2 of Pentacles, we have the Justice card, and we have 2 of Wands. And I feel like you're finally coming into your inheritance. We're finally coming into receiving what it is that we have been working for all along. And let me stop shuffling so I can just get through what I was trying to say. Not everybody is meant to be a leader. Not everybody is supposed to be famous. Not everybody is supposed to be a CEO. Not everybody is supposed to be like all of these things that seem quite glamorous and like a big deal, especially in American culture. Not everyone's supposed to do that, and that's okay. And sometimes, like, I have been guilty of this, but I know someone, I'll give this example, which I actually feel like I may have talked about this on this channel before, but I know someone who like had a friend group of very beautiful women, and one of her like, her best friend, she like felt like, oh, because she's a Taurus, she doesn't want more for herself. She's just settling in life. Like, she has so much potential, but she doesn't want to do more with it. She could be doing a business. She could be doing this. She could be doing that. And like I said, I've been guilty of this. So, like, I totally get it and I understand. But her friend did not and does not want that for herself. She doesn't want that. You know, she wanted to marry a guy who was going to provide for her and take care of her, and she just wants to be a mom, and that's it. And that's what she's doing, and she's really, really happy. And that's what matters. Clearly impressing this person who claimed to be her best friend is not what mattered, and thank goodness that she like had the wherewithal and self-respect to be that way and to feel that way. Because to my awareness, the person who was judging her is not happy anyway, like is deeply, deeply unhappy and deeply, deeply unwell. And I can say the same, like when I was much more deep into my codependency and enmeshment, like I would also try to control my friends. And I always wanted to like amplify their life and like help them to reach their goals and stuff like that, because honestly, deep down, I felt out of control of my life and I felt like I couldn't do it for myself. I had like pho, and I think that it's like making me super phlegmatic, so excuse me. But yeah, it's just like, it caused a lot of resentment between those friends and myself, because rightfully so, they had every right to be angry with me because I was being controlling. And in that way, like, I don't think that I was playing mind games. I was very straightforward, but that's manipulation. And that's me using them to play out these fantasies and like over-identifying with them, projecting myself onto them, trying to make them like responsible like for my sense of success and wellness. And ultimately that would never have been enough. I needed to cultivate that within myself. And this is why I talk so much about like minding our own business, because like I needed to mind my own effing business. Like maybe my life and the things that I wanted would be to the degree that I wanted them to be if I stopped minding other people's business and minded my own. And I mean that in the most literal sense too. How am I supposed to make sure that like my money is right, my business is right, like I'm not hemorrhaging money from unseen factors and this sort of thing if I'm too busy watching somebody else's pockets, if I'm too busy watching somebody else's ledger, if I'm incapable of like paying attention to myself because I'm too hard to look at for me? You know what I mean? So like this form of escapism that we can get into in judging others. And that came up in the weekend Cosmic Tea. It's like, we just gotta stop with that. We gotta stop with that, because that is a surefire way to sabotage our own growth and our own development. So I think that what is coming through here is like, when these opportunities arise for you to step more into your power, Spirit is saying like, don't let your ego stop you from doing that. Don't let your fear of success, your fear that you're not good enough, that you're not smart enough, that you're not pretty enough, that you're not talented enough, stop you from at least trying, because if you don't try, you're never going to be enough. You know, I was so worried about like not being thin enough to do modeling and stuff like this. And there was also a lot of like misogyny wrapped up in the reason why I didn't want to do it when I was younger, because I wanted to be appreciated for my brains instead of like my looks and things like this. And that's just misogyny. And that's feeding into cis heteropatriarchy. And I grew up with everyone telling me that I was smart, so I don't even really know where I got that from, but I think that it is because I had internalized like that I shouldn't be the center of attention. I didn't want to be seen, and that I needed to talk down about myself, and like that would keep me safe, you know. And it didn't. That's number one. It didn't do that. And I'm just sitting here being mean to myself and hiding and not living the life that I'm supposed to be living and not living the life that I want to live. And meanwhile, it's like, oh, I think that I'm like not thin enough, and I'm like a lollipop head because I'm so skinny at that time. You know what I mean? So it's like looking into a funhouse mirror. The time that this period that we've been in, where we may have felt stuck, like we may have felt like we couldn't progress and do the things that we wanted to do, it's because we were looking into a funhouse mirror, and that is the filter of our ego. You'll know that your ego is sabotaging you, and that you are probably really feeling bad about yourself if you're feeling hyper judgmental of others. When I'm looking at everybody else and I'm just like, that person's a dumb idiot, that person's shoes are bad, this and that about that person, like I know I can now look at myself and be like, yo, what's going on with you? Like you're feeling salty about something, you're feeling bad about something, what is it? And for me, I know that a lot of the time that's my inner child trying to get my attention. For me, I know that a lot of this has to do with colonialism and the structure of the colony and indoctrination into that. And that's why it's so important for me to do the decolonial work that I do. And this is why I advocate for all of us to do that, because it affects each and every single one of us in different ways. I am going to post that reading that I talked about, but I just don't know when I'm going to do it. However, it is what inspired my conception of the 5 pillars of colonialism, and understanding that like whatever's keeping us apart from one another, and if I'm judging others and I'm judging myself, that's keeping me out of right relation, that I'm not able to like have the things that I want. So when these opportunities arise, like you may hear in your mind like, oh my god, but I didn't lose enough weight for this, or like, oh my goodness, but like I don't have a new outfit for this, or but I didn't finish this course, or like what have you. Like I have a friend who makes bank, and I think that she had gotten her GED, and like it took her 10 years to finish uni, just like me. And she got a job working at like Facebook and Instagram before she even finished her degree. And she was making a lot of money. She was doing really well for herself. And she hadn't finished her degree. So like don't be so afraid of rejection that you're not allowing yourself to even put yourself out there when this stuff comes up. If it's a job interview, like, oh my god, like I don't have this certification or this degree, allow them to say no to you. You don't decide what they're gonna say. You let them say no. At least just put yourself out there, because if you put yourself out there 10 times, the chances are you'll probably at least hear back from something once. But if you don't ever put yourself out there, you will never hear back from anyone or anything. And these opportunities are coming in, and it's all in our lives. Listen, transformation. You were meant for this. You were literally born for this. Yes, you've been training for this your whole life. You were literally born for this. This "you're already doing it" card was in the reverse. And the reason for that is we've been downloading the information. We've been transforming internally, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. But we have been in this pause period in the 3D for the energy to get right. And now with, and I'm using the tropical chart right now because I felt called by spirit to use tropical. With Pluto going retrograde back into Capricorn, this is an opportunity for us to rewrite those timelines. You've been doing it with the scripting. You've been doing it with the, shadow work and trauma therapy stuff. We've been doing it with just leveling up within ourselves internally. Now the opportunity is here, you know, when it's like, well, I know for myself in terms of dating, I've been like, okay, I'm sick of just like thinking about how I'm going to do things differently. Like, I'm never going to actually get to be in the practice of doing things differently if I don't actually have the opportunity to do things differently, because I have not been interested in anyone in a really long time. But now with this card, I'm feeling that this is like, okay, you know, the opportunities are going to come. Am I actually going to do the things differently? Am I actually going to push myself outside of my comfort zone? Yeah, I definitely get that. And I might feel triggered. I might feel scared. We have Princess of Wands in the reverse, and the bottom of the deck right in front of that is Princess of Pentacles in the direct position. And so the Princess is the page in this, and it is the final round of Pentacles. So we went through 1 to 5, and that was like the novice, and then the medium level of 5 to 10, and now we're on the master level. And we did get a lot of 11s and a lot of 22s in the chart. You can't sabotage this. You can't ruin this even if you wanted to, because this is fated. All of these people were meant to find you. They want you. They've been looking for you. So, you know, you might want to give your fears the opportunity to run the show. But let me tell you something. It's really irresponsible. You wouldn't let an 8-year-old drive a car. Your body is your vessel. It is your vehicle in this world for your spirit. Why would you let your inner child run your life? So it's okay to be scared. What do they say? There's a saying that people say, and it's like, easy does it, but do it. Okay? You know, do things in moderation. You don't have to rush. Like, take your time, but don't allow that to be the reason why you stall. Oh, I'm not ready yet. I'm not prepared yet. Blah, blah, blah. Like, one thing that I know about myself lately that is a message that really has been coming through this weekend is like that I continue to like think that I'm being humble by acting like I'm a beginner at the things that I do, especially in terms of spirituality, and I guess also to do with like art making, maybe because I haven't done grad school. But fuck that. Like, my higher power is just like, no, that's not true. I'm giving you the license to be that girl. I'm giving you the license to be that guy. I'm giving you the license because I know what I put you through. I know the tests. I know that you are prepared. I wouldn't give this to you if you weren't prepared. You think that all of those challenges were the things that I was preparing you for? No, I wasn't preparing you for more terror. I was preparing you to be ready to accept and to handle and to hold and to maintain and to cultivate this garden of Eden that you are coming into. And I love that for us. Yes, I love that for us. I feel like I want to talk about what's happening in Pisces. A lot of this stuff in the cards, I feel like, yeah, like in the past, we hit our shine with the Star in reverse and the Emperor in reverse. But, so we get the Princess of Wands and then the Emperor and that in reverse, both of them. And then we get to the Prince of Swords. And I feel like we weren't acting upon our destiny, and that's why we weren't getting it. And then we had to go through this consciousness shift. We had to go through this mental reconfiguration in order to have our energy no longer be so embattled. You know, if you're at war with yourself, you're going to be at war with everybody else. And this has been us getting right within. This has been us resolving our karma, resolving our trauma, and, you know, transforming on a cellular level, because it is, I can't stress this enough, that it is cellular. It's in our bodies. So Spirit is talking to me about water. Water and purification. Drink a lot of water. This week, drink a lot of water. Wear a mask. If you feel like you maybe need to wear a mask wherever you are, wherever you're going through, wear one. You're not going to want to get sick this week. Be mindful. Don't be too indulgent this week. Yeah, don't be too indulgent this week. Don't let your trauma responses and triggers control you. You are now the master of your domain. Remember that. Be mindful and intentional in everything that you do. If you're gonna go to, you know, don't just like buy something just because it's there. Like, really be mindful and intentional about where you're investing your energy. Don't just do things because you can, because that's not Emperor energy. That is chaotic and not masterful. 6 of Cups in the reverse position. 8 of Wands in the reverse position. These beings, these entities, these beings is what is coming through, are not coming for you. You're not going to receive the same reaction that you may, that like, what you think is going to happen. There's a part of you that's saying like, yes, I can have it. It's mine. I deserve it. It's all happening for me. But then there's a part of you that's really afraid and is like, you're maybe even delusional and doesn't want to believe it and is still waiting for the other shoe to fall. And Spirit is like, you better believe it. But the way that they said it is the, what is that song called? It's from like the early new millennium, Slum Village. I don't remember, but it's like Slum Village and Kanye West. I think there's a message in that song for us, so let's see. Is that their name? Selfish, yes. I'm calling, maybe I'm selfish, out too. I want you to myself, I can't help it. Yes. So I feel like some people here, actually everybody, it doesn't matter what realm of your life that this is happening, it's like happening. Transformation on a molecular level has been happening for a long time. We already know that. We already know that it's been happening for a long time and it's manifesting now. As I said over the weekend, or like for the energy of the weekend, it seems to me like a lot of people in the spiritual community, like at some level believe the things that like they talk about, but then at another level are just like, no, that's not real. Specifically, I'm talking about like, you know, we'll talk about deities, we'll talk about like, you know, spell work, we'll talk about like demons, we'll talk about energy, but then like when it comes to like my ancestral stuff, like low-key being like, that's not real. You know what I mean? And I talked about that, so I'm not going to get too deep into it. But I don't believe that all the people who identify as witches and stuff in the Western world fully believe in magic. That's what I've witnessed, having been in the spiritual community actively since I was 18. Yeah, I was not in the spiritual community at all when I was a kid. I didn't even know one existed. I just like
found books on occultism and like hid them and like would go out and read about them like where nobody could see me. But from my experience, I don't believe that a lot of these people truly believe in what they claim to believe, which is self-limiting. And Spirit is saying, like, I'm talking about this because I'm being honest with myself. Until I saw it happen, like I saw things that you would see in movies happen. I've seen it, I've witnessed it. And until that happened, I was just like, well, I guess like maybe because of the dimension that we're in and because it's so low vibrational and so dense, like those things don't happen as much anymore. And that's true. But like some of these places, we're here to cultivate a higher vibration so those miracles can happen again. It's not just energy manipulation. It's not just hermeticism. It's not just physics. Like magic is like, I mean, they don't understand dark matter. Let's put it that way. They don't understand dark matter. Magic is a force that science cannot account for. Okay, and so these higher forms of consciousness that we're coming into, I feel like if you're gonna say that you're at like 5-dimensional consciousness and 6-dimensional consciousness, like you can't not believe in these things. You know what I mean? So if you know that like, okay, I'm exhausted for months because I've been going through this deep cellular changes and these things, and like I know what my purpose is, and I know that I had these past lives, and I know this and that, and my gifts are real. But a lot of us have been 1 foot in and 1 foot out. A lot of us have been on the fence. A lot of us, and that's what I'm talking about, like accepting our role, especially as leaders. We are being chosen to be the leaders in whatever field that may look like. It may look like becoming a pastor. It may look like becoming an actor, a writer. It even may look like becoming a chef. Like it could be being just a teacher, not just a teacher. Teachers are heroes, everyday heroes. But I'm talking about, like, I think that a lot of times people can, especially in America, we have this like grandiosity about things, and it's like the person who had the most positive impact in my life, other than the people who helped me get sober, she is the vice president of a company, but like very humble, not at all a flashy person, but it's in the way that she lived her life. She definitely lives a life of service. She's a very generous person, a very giving, kind person, and genuinely, I believe, strives to embody Christian ideals. And I don't know very many people that I can say that is true of. Of course, she's a human, so she's fallible and she's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But that person, she's not famous. But she has impact on every single person that has ever met her. Like everybody. Everybody, you know? And I think that's really just like one thing that I always carry with me. True power is in humility. It doesn't need to be flashy. It doesn't need to be like, if you truly know that you are powerful, you don't have anything to prove to anybody else, and you are of service. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and like this idea of like being a princess. And when I think about it, I think about the fact that like maybe now that people don't really actually have, especially as in America, we don't really engage with like royalty and that sort of thing. And also most royalty have abused their power. I mean, but just like Jenny Holzer said, abuse of power comes as no surprise. If you are the sovereign and you know that you have you are sovereign over those in your dominion, that means that you are responsible for them. And that means that your job is to be in service to them. So if you think about people, this is my big problem with someone like Jay-Z. He knows that his main, like, his fans, it's like, well, I would say like mainly the Black community. But he is, or actually I would talk about like a lot of rappers in general. They're not doing any service to their fans. They teach them, they push on them these horrible, horrible lifestyles, and a lot of them don't live those lifestyles themselves. Future even said it. Future, I would say, is one person who is very much has a lot to account for in terms of the opioid epidemic in its impact of specifically Gen Z and Gen Zillennials, young people who started abusing things like codeine and things like this. And then he comes out and he says, I don't do those things. For me, that's actually worse. Like, that's actually a lot worse. So I think about someone like 𝗪𝗓𝗄𝗧. Hello. I think about somebody like 𝗪𝗓𝗄𝗧 who, she has a very beautiful positive message in her music. Her music is like, I don't listen to certain music with lyrics that like I feel will subconsciously poison my mind. So like disrespecting women, homophobic stuff, like, you know, I used to be super into hip hop and I don't listen to it as much anymore because I'm not willing to poison my mind with that. Oh, I listen to conscious rap and like that sort of thing. And that's true for pop music too. That's true even for music from back in the day. You know, like this is not a new phenomenon. I don't want to watch movies where people are perpetuating abusive stereotypes and things like this. So maybe this is another thing, is to be very careful about how and I said this before, what we're investing our energy into, but what we're also taking in. So be mindful of the places that you're going this week. Thank you. Agreed. Be mindful of the places that you're going this week. If you know that a place gives you bad vibes and you always get into like, there were clubs, I've talked about this before too, but like there were clubs that I would always get into trouble at, and then there were clubs where I would never get into trouble at. And so this week is saying like, if there's my favorite lineup ever, favorite DJs, favorite DIY performers, all my favorite friends are going, but I know that I always get into trouble at that club or that venue, because I don't actually go to clubs. I go to live shows and DJ sets. If I know I'm going to get into trouble at that venue, don't go there. Maybe next week, like, there's just too much risk in the atmosphere right now. There's too much risk. So don't do it. I want to look at Pisces because that feels auspicious. We have Saturn in Pisces at 7 degrees, we have the moon at 22 degrees, and we have Neptune at 27 degrees in the first house. And I feel like coupling that with Pluto retrograde at 0 degrees, it's like you're setting the tone for a when you know better, you need to do better. Essentially. Like, I know, yeah, that's all Spirit wants to say. I was gonna say, like, I don't feel like maybe if you know that you get into trouble somewhere all the time, don't go there. But I think that is not necessarily true always, but for this week it is. Because maybe a different time you can go, but like, you need to not do certain things that you usually would do when you go there, like have a really trusted confidant there or something like that. I don't know. But like, if it's a person like, oh, your ex hits you up and you know that it was a really chaotic relationship, and it's like, well, I had a fun time with that person. Did you have a fun time, or was it like that you enjoyed, you got high off of the exhilaration of the up and down of the relationship. Yeah, I'm literally, that's exactly where I'm talking about. Like, was it that you were getting high off of the ups and downs of the relationship? That's the question. Like, so this is what I meant about being mindful about how we're investing our energy and being incredibly intentional. And that's not the same as being hypervigilant. That means, like, okay, who's my higher self? Who is it that I'm, like, the best version of myself? Where do they live? What do they do? Who do they hang out with? What do they eat? What do they drink? What do they, like, how do they spend their time? Because remember, this is about lifestyle. And weigh your options. Is this going to take me more into that version of myself, or into the version of myself that I'm clearly tired of being? Is this going to help me break out of my cocoon and spread my wings and fly successfully? Or is this going to, because there's no staying in a cocoon. If you're staying in a cocoon, you're dead, period. No butterfly is staying in their cocoon and they're alive. They died in transformation. So am I being a butterfly acting like a caterpillar? Or am I, like, stepping into my majesty and my magnificence? This is what Spirit is asking of us. Yes, new life, rebirth is what I'm hearing, especially because it has to do with Pisces, and it has to do with Neptune, and also that has to do with nuptials. That's where the word comes from. Connubials. I don't know if y'all have ever seen Kath and Kim, but Kath always refers to marriage as connubials. But that's where nuptials comes from. So it's about new life. It's about birthing, and it's about, yes, that divine union. This is a very powerful week, and a very powerful energy that we're engaging with here. We want to be mindful of, like, how we progress with it, especially because we have North Node at 1 degree of Taurus in the 3rd house. Like, we're meeting all of the people who are helping us to manifest this timeline in this week. So you'd better do your best to show up as that girl or that guy. You're not going to meet them at the old place that you used to hang out. Like, I have to remind myself constantly, like, okay, I'm no longer in that life, and that life worked for me at that time, but there's a reason why I'm not within that space anymore, because I deserve and can have and am attracting and being given way better, because that was not the end all be all, and it has expired in terms of its usefulness. Now I need to be open to new opportunities, new experiences, and I need to say yes to them. Yes was one of the cards that we got in the weekend reading. Yeah, Fortuna is in Gemini at 15 degrees, which is 6, and then we have 41, which is 5, so that's 11. Divine union happening here. It's in the 4th house. You know, we're going to feel so loved and cared for. Allow yourself to experience that this week. But yeah, I do feel like this is going to challenge us to want to hide with the star in reverse. I kept mentioning, like, that verse where in the Bible where it's like a city on top of a hill cannot be hidden. So why would you nor would you light a candle and cover it in your house? Like, our instinct may be to hide, but Spirit is saying, like, don't go with that instinct. Don't do the things that you used to do back in the day. It didn't work for you then, because you'd have what you want if it had worked for you, but it didn't work for you. We're going from a misappropriation of our energy to the beginning stages of manifestation of this new life. not the beginning stages, that happened a long time ago in the realm of consciousness. And then we have the Two of Swords under the bottom of the deck, and the Moon in reverse. More is being revealed. All the things that you were like, the doubt, the uncertainty. Like for me, at the beginning of lockdown, I got super triggered. I got super triggered because I couldn't see what was coming next. Like, I was actively being blocked. It was a wall. Usually it might feel like really foggy and dense, but like it was actually a wall that I hit and that I had not experienced before. And I was like, oh my God. And I think that's how a lot of us are feeling. There's a lot of fear of the unknown, and because like we don't know exactly what's going to happen, we're going from A to Z, and we want to know what's going to happen at B through Y, but Spirit's like, don't worry about B through Y. I got B through Y. Or rather, we're at Y and we have to get to Z, and it's like, didn't I get you from A to Y? And hello. Hi, I got you from A to Y, so why are you doubting me? Why are you doubting me? You know? So Spirit is really just like your higher power, my higher power, our higher powers. The divine is like, don't worry about how you're going to get from Y to Z. Because as long as you stop self-sabotaging, and as long as you live in the lessons and embody and express and engender the lessons that you've been learning, you went through a hard-ass time in this state of pause, right? Do you want to have to go through that again? Or are you just going to do what you know? Like, I'm seeing this Ten of Wands in reverse here. Do you want to go through this again? Doesn't that look like hell? Do you want to go through that again? No, you don't want to go through it again. You don't have to. The Five of Cups in reverse, we don't have to do that. Stop taking your self-will back. Being self-sovereign, capital S self, means letting our divinity be sovereign. My ego is not sovereign. My ego gets me into trouble. My ego wants to do whatever the heck it wants to do. It is my higher power that stops me. And I have gotten a lot better at listening because I got my ass handed to me by not listening. And that's not my higher power's fault. That's on me. When I did things when I knew better than to do them. Because when you know better, you better do better, because that hurts worse than when you didn't know better. And I'm being called to remind folks to check out, if you haven't ever read the Bluebeard chapter of Women Who Run with the Wolves, please go read it. Please go read it. I'm sure you can find it online somewhere. We don't ever have to go back to the suffering. And I also feel like this is the ending of all of this. This is the end of the dark night. And I said this before, like, the sun doesn't start rising and then suddenly be like, you know what, I'm not feeling it. I'm going back down. Like, that doesn't happen. The world keeps spinning whether or not we like it. And that's actually a good thing, because when we aren't willing to do what we have to do, you know, it's gonna happen regardless. So this beautiful stuff is coming into your life regardless. And for those just joining us, I channeled the song Selfish by Slum Village. And like, some people you're gonna meet, it's like soul family, like it says, you're gonna meet people who are like, they don't play about you. They do not play about you. God's like, the people coming into your life, use your discernment, okay? Because the people who are coming into your life right now, they're going to be people that you can trust. And like, I'm hearing Mariah Carey's song, I'll Be Loving You Long Time. That's actually one of my favorite songs of all time. I'm hearing that. I wanna see what lyrics they have for us. Lyrics, Mariah, Margaritaville. Actually, that's a good song. Mariah Carey, Loving You. Oh my God, Vision of Love. That song too, which is crazy because there was a time period in which I was like coming into union with my divine counterpart, and I now know that I was like, you guys keep telling me that I'm coming into union with my divine counterpart, and I'm just meeting so many bozos. And now I realize, like, I was coming into union with my divine counterpart. I was coming into union with, like, my dreams, you know, like the life that I always wanted. And it didn't necessarily look like what I thought it ought to look like, but you know, like I said, like, I don't know what I need. I don't. And I don't know all of the ways that it could come to me. So I need to be open, and I need to be willing, and I don't have to be afraid of being open and willing when I am actually discerning, and I'm not giving all of my power to other people so that they can be responsible for me. I have the power to know when something is or isn't for me, and I have the power to say no. Don't give other people power over you to be like, no. You know what? I'm not gonna manipulate you. I'm not gonna use you. You know why? Because I'm just not gonna do it. That's not how it works. We have to be responsible for ourselves. We have to be our own inner loving parent. You know, we have to be accountable. We can no longer be our inner child running around running the show. Just like I said before, you wouldn't let an 8-year-old drive a car. You don't need to let an 8-year-old drive your life. You wouldn't let a 4-year-old drive a car. You don't need to let a 4-year-old drive your life. And there is a healthy, positive, or not positive, there's a healthy, generative, healing way to mitigate that and to do this inner child healing work. I would recommend clinical help with that. But it's not just about like yelling at your inner child or anything like that. They're scared, just like we're scared. When we get into these rooms, you know, we might feel really, really nervous. So maybe you want to start taking cold showers. That's something that I saw for nervous system regulation. You might feel your nervous system become activated. Sometimes we don't even know the difference between excitement and fear, because nervousness is a type of excitement. Fear is a type of excitement. Anxiety is a type of excitement. Can we pull the threads and discern what we're feeling at any given time? You ain't even gotta worry about a thing. I got you, babe. And ain't nobody taking me away. It's not a game. I'm here to stay. See, our love is stronger than any drug. Addictive, just can't get enough. And every time I'm with you, I want some more. Just close the door and let's explore each other. And I don't even feel like this is sexual. Like, it is for some of us, but like, it's really about getting to explore the universe that is you. Whether this is platonic, but I feel like for a lot of us, it's romantic. Don't assume that it could start out hot and heavy from the outset. And if you truly feel like this is the person, I mean, maybe y'all won't be together forever and we can just be okay with that, whatever. But like, if you truly feel like this person has something for me, and it's not just karmic, but it is divine, spiritual growth and alchemy, you know, if it's like, it could start out hot and heavy from the beginning. And I know people are like, when you start out like that, it never lasts. It could actually. I'm thinking of like Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee, of course. But like, and when I saw that, before it got to the part about like, before it got trigger warning abusive, I was like, oh my God, that's what I want. But I think that's because like, my nervous system is messed up and my ego is messed up, and we're also trained in this society to think that whirlwind romance is normal, when actually it's generally pretty unhealthy. However, I do know people who have those experiences, and it is for life. So if you feel and you pray about it and you talk to your ancestors about it and you really do check in and you feel that's what it is, then this is for you. It will be y'all wanting to explore the universes of who you are, and you will actively be transformed and expanded, and you'll never grow tired of one another. You will never grow tired of one another in this relationship. So get out of the driver's seat and let your higher self drive, actually, is what I'm hearing. With the Queen of Wands in reverse, like, let your higher self drive. Okay? I'm going to pause. I need to go to the restroom. I will be back in 2 minutes. Thank you for your patience. I've been drinking a lot of water because I have throat chakra stuff coming up, and I don't even think it's really throat chakra stuff, but I have been having like weird throat stuff throughout this reading. So I think that, like, you know, show up, show out, express yourself, be honest, be straightforward. You know, the sooner that you tell the truth, the sooner that you can get out of any situation that is a waste of your time. Oh, why did I do that? Okay, because we're going to get into practical advice now. Oh, jeez. 𝗔𝗕𝗢𝗨𝗧. Okay. That's okay. That's okay. My throat is so dry. PMA, positive mental attitude. Don't be a effing pessimist this week. That's what I'm definitely getting. That's what I'm definitely picking up on. Oh, because I usually use this deck for the love reading, but I'll use the unsacred deck for that. So let's get social, shall we? I'm hearing let's get physical, physical. I wanna get physical. Let's get into physical. Okay, so you might be like, if you have internet friends, this might be the week to meet them. This might be the week to meet them. What else? What else? Ahem, ahem. Seven of Wands. Okay. I'm hearing "Come What May" from Moulin Rouge, and it's like, "Come what may, I will love you until my dying day." The High Priestess in reverse. The Tower. Okay, this is like make or break time. Yeah, the Priestess in reverse. I feel like there are relationships in which you may have been ignoring things, and well, I already said, like, we can't ignore certain things anymore, right? This is the final countdown is what I'm hearing. Ace of Swords in reverse. Stuff that you should have done a really long time ago. The Lovers. Stuff that you should have done a really long time ago. This is your choice to, like, jealous, yeah. If this is the week where you're, like, popping out, don't invest time in the people that, yeah, just generally, like, don't invest time in the people, places, or things that don't serve you. Like I said, they don't. And they might be mad, they might get, yeah, jealous, they might get angry, whatever. But it's like, for instance, like, if you go out for the first time in a long time, and someone's like, oh my God, like, I can't believe, like, you didn't hit me up or whatever. And it's like, when they see you, they weren't expecting to see you, but you've been in your hermit mode, and they haven't been expecting to see you, and then you see them, and then you're like, we don't talk. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure y'all have this experience of, like, somebody like, oh my God, I can't believe that you, like, were here and you didn't say anything, or blah, blah, blah. I wasn't expecting to see you here, da, 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 da. Or, like, whatever. And it's like, oh, well, we don't talk ever. So, like, I think I mentioned in the last reading was, like, the passive relationships. And I talked about this on TikTok. The passive relationships can sometimes be an even more powerful energetic drain than the, it's a more insidious, especially because we don't even realize that they're draining us. And sometimes we get rid of the big ones. See, the big problematic relationships, it's like, okay, it's glaring and it's obvious. But the passive relationships, like, that we don't enjoy, and I have these. Okay, I had an instance where I needed somebody for something, and this relationship is just contentious. It's not open beef, which is even worse. I hate passive aggressiveness, and this person is just, like, very, very much that kind of manipulative, passive aggressive way. And I just decided I'm over it. Like, I don't have time for that. I'm not going to put up with it. And, you know, I asked them something and they said it was, like, fine or whatever. And I don't think that they ever did what I asked them for. And there's just a lot of stuff that rubbed me the wrong way, even in that exchange. Well, I'll just say what it is, because I don't think that they're going to watch this. Their roommate borrowed something from me. I can't find their roommate's number. I asked them if they could ask their roommate where it is. I don't think that they ever did. They never got back to me after a very long period of time, never told me if they found out about where my thing was or whatever. So they didn't do it. And then I decided, like, well, maybe I should, like, ask about it again. And I decided, like, the thing is not worth it to me. I can get another one. But I don't want to even see this person. I don't actually even want to interact with this person because they make me feel very uncomfortable and, frankly, emotionally unsafe because they're codependent and because they are passive aggressive, which is a form of violence. You're still being violent. You're still being, like, aggressive. You know what I mean? And it's even worse. And I think I just really don't trust people like that, and it's very triggering for me. So I decided, like, fuck it. I'll take the L in that way. And, you know, it's one of those passive relationships where, like, there was no real beef, where we weren't like, I don't want to fuck with you. I don't like I don't feel good in this relationship or whatever. But like, there's still, for me, I hadn't pulled the cord. I hadn't decided I'm not fucking with this person anymore. Like, I'm done with them. And because I still felt bad and I felt beholden and I didn't want to be a bitch and this, that, and the third. And what I've learned is like, I don't, like, I'm going to be the bitch. If I'm going to be the bitch in someone's narrative, I'm going to be the bitch in their narrative. And I probably already am if I'm pretending that everything's like good when really I'm just like over you. I think that's like the tropical astrology. I have an Aquarius moon. In sidereal, it's Capricorn. But like, the Aquarius moon in me is just like, this isn't even worth my time. Like, I don't ever see you anyway. You don't ever reach out to me anyway. So like, we're good. I'm just not going to talk to you. But I think that like this week is just like, the passive relationships, it's a line in the sand. It's drawing the line in the sand. If there are people that you know that you need to, Four of Swords. These are karmic relationships. These are karmic relationships. I have someone, they're not in my life actively. I know I had a relationship with somebody who was a family member of mine, and they would be super antagonistic towards me. And because they're a narcissist. So they had sown the seeds of like making me feel bad for them. So that like trauma dumping stuff that like a lot of narcissists will do to like create a trauma bond, so that they can like latch on. They trauma dumped, created this like space of like, you can't, if you are mean to me, I'm acting out because I'm traumatized, and if you're mean to me, if I'm being terrible to you, that's just my trauma. But like, you can't ever reproach me because like I'm deeply unwell and I need help and things are so bad for me and you need to feel bad for me. But anytime that I would get fed up with it and I would check them, they'd be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, and stuff like that. And it got to the final point where I was just like, honestly, I can't stand you. I don't fuck with you. Like, you are violent in your behaviors, not just to me, but literally everyone around you. And I don't tolerate that. Like, I'm not tolerating that from literally anyone in my life ever again. I didn't tell them any of this. I just blocked them. And so that is one thing that you can do, because I've been talking about this for a minute. There's a lot of monitoring spirits. There's a lot of monitoring spirits, and especially since retrograde, there are people who've been thinking about you and they want to come back into your life, and they're going to do it this week because they're hoping that you're still willing to pretend to be naive. But when you're pretending to be naive, you're not actually naive, but it is dumb. It is being dumb. And I don't mean that like in a mean way, but like literally you're not speaking. You're not advocating for yourself. You're not standing up for yourself. There's no justice, okay? You get the Hanged Man in reverse. Ending these relationships, we get the Two of Cups in reverse, we get the King of Wands in reverse, and we get the Justice card, and we get the Queen of Cups in reverse. This has been draining you. This is why your money has been messed up. This is why you couldn't get into like the kinds of relationships that you've been looking for, whether that's like career, romance, familial, platonic, whatever. Because it could be like, oh, like that's so-and-so's kid. I don't fuck with so-and-so, and I'm not gonna interact with anyone who like interacts with so-and-so. And then like you finally cut off the unhealthy party, and then they're like, hey, you know, I've been thinking about you a lot lately. Yeah, you know, I heard that like you guys had some jobs. Like, yeah, you know, things are rough in that way. And then they're like, yeah, well, you know, I always like really advocated for you, and I saw what you were going through, and I'm so sorry. I didn't want to come towards you because like I knew that you were like wrapped up in that, and I didn't want to get involved, but like I'm here for you if you need anything. That's a miracle for somebody who has a difficult family unit. Like that is a miracle. And I'll tell you what, like I know for a fact that they like people will not fuck with you in families, in friendships, in work, because of the people that you're associated with. So you need to stop associating. You've been known that you need to stop associating with them. It might not even be like, sometimes it's some of these relationships, it's gonna be like, I'm done with you. And if you have to tell them explicitly why, like if I have to tell this person why I'm just planning on like not interacting with them. But if I have to tell them like why I don't interact with them, or why I didn't hit them up or whatever, I'm gonna tell them. I'm not gonna hold bars about it. I'm going to think about the most non-violent way to do it, the most like using relational communication techniques. I'm gonna think about all of that. And I'm going to be kind and respectful, but I'm gonna be firm. I'm not saying I'm gonna have to do this, but like, you know, sometimes we'll be like, oh, like, yeah. When I used to party, it would be like, sometimes someone would be like would be on like, I know that I was gonna see somebody that perhaps I like had some tension with. And then I'd feel like, okay, well, I better like contact this person to make sure everything's cool. Like that type of energy. You don't have to do that because everything's not cool. You need to honor your feelings and don't fuck with them and don't interact with them. Don't pretend to be nice, like whatever. This might be you go to you go to an interview and your old, this is like an anime, your old nemesis is working there, but they're like, you're going for an interview for a higher position at your job, and your old nemesis is on the floor that you go to, and like usually you would want to be like cordial and like hello, because you want to be polite. Don't be polite. Just be like, just walk on by. Just walk on by. Okay, because this is what's going to get you unstuck. This is what's going to clear your karma. The devil. Yep. And then it goes down in reverse. You're getting yourself free from these karmic relationships. And for me, it's a good tower. It might be really challenging. I did say that there's going to be a lot of like challenging moments that might trigger our like trauma responses, but choose to continue to show up as the bad bee, the spiritual baddie that you are. Queen of Pentacles in the direct position, because this is helping you to get sovereign. And yes, you are going to get hella paid after this. Your money's going to go up like crazy. I have literally experienced this, cutting people out of my life, and because they were disempowering me, they did not respect my sovereignty, they were stepping all over my toes, and that is the justice that we are looking for. Like, it doesn't really matter if other people don't believe us if we don't believe us. It doesn't really matter if other people don't value us if we don't value us. Because if we don't value us, then we will continue allowing these people who don't value us to be in our lives. Not everybody's going to value you. Not everyone's going to believe you. Not everyone's going to like you, care about you, want to be there for you. But if we do value ourselves, if we do believe ourselves, and we could just be like, all right, well, I don't fuck with you anyway, so... You know what I mean? Like, this is really about, like, respecting your sovereignty in this time. I know I'm being cryptic because a lot of messages are coming in for me about things that, like, I just am like, yeah. I know that these examples have been cryptic, but I hope that you guys get it, what I mean. Yeah, so cord cutting might be really beneficial. burning a lot of like, you know, smoke cleansing especially is going to be beneficial, because I feel like it's our ideologies that are the problem. It's our ideologies that are the problem. A salt bath is going to be really good. I'm hearing pee, like urine, so I don't know what that's about. I will say, I think you need to get your vitamins up and like, yeah, just be yourself. Be yourself in these new settings, because what you need to understand is that this is a new energy. This is a new energy. It's not the same energy that you were dealing with. So don't go up in there acting the same old, thinking you're gonna get the same results, because this is a brand new vibe. I'm hearing Brand New Guy by 𝗬𝗓𝗨𝗧. I'm not going to look up the lyrics because I have looked them up when I channeled this song before, and they're so stupid. I'm gonna look it up. Oh, okay. I don't care about that. Brand new clip, brand new 9, brand new bitch, brand new ride, brand new weed, brand new high, brand new me, meet the brand new guys. Not for nothing, this was, I think, his first like commercial album, if I'm not mistaken. Like, this was his first album, and I think that it came out in like 2011. This was a very different time in music and pop culture. Like, I don't like everything that's happening now has nothing compared to what was going on in that time. Like, the kinds of music that we were hearing coming out, the kinds of like everything, we had never seen anything like it before. And yes, people dressed badly. People dressed really bad in the 2010s. And I look back and I'm just like, why did we dress like that? But like, it was a time of experimentation and it was phenomenal. And like, nobody is experimenting at the level, I'm not gonna say nobody, but I feel like one thing that has really stopped experimentation is like Instagram. And the people who are experimenting, it's all very like fashion-y, so it needs to be cool. At that time, SoundCloud, like being called a SoundCloud rapper now would be an insult. But like I've talked about this on here, Playboi Carti is a SoundCloud rapper. Like, you could really, people were making music out of their bedrooms, like not mixing and mastering shit, like really truly DIY and getting put on. Like, this was all before net neutrality happened too, so the internet was a completely different space. It was not as like capitalistic as it is now. Still was, but like not nearly as it was now. I don't think I ever even heard about Amazon back in like 2000